weary bones. Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. Just set this lamp over here. Oh, I think I overdressed for the occasion, man. Oh, I don't know who started this fire, but it's fantastic. This feels really nice. Oh, hi. Please, make yourself at home. I just got here, actually. Been walking through the forest at night, which is it's just a thing I do. All right. I don't think it's weird, but if you think it's weird, then that's on you. So, sorry. Off to a bad start. I'm Cameron. I'm wearing a very fuzzy blanket. Sorry, a cape. And it's a really nice evening, and it's very close to Halloween. And I don't know. I just got here. It's really a lot of stuff. Oh. There's a book here. Someone left a book. It's paper that's attached to they're like put together, and the words are printed on them. I've heard about them, but never actually held one. It's kind of weird. This is a book called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Dark. Collected from folklore and retold by Alvin Schwartz. Drawings by Stephen Gamel. I'm not going anywhere, so I might as well just start reading. There's a lot of smoke between me and you, so I hope that doesn't obscure your vision. There's a lot of fog in that specific area too, so I don't know what that's all about. But now I've never actually read this book. I remember it as a kid, and I was way too scared to read it, mostly because of the drawings. You don't want to get a closer look? That's fine. You stay there. I don't want to. Sorry. Look, I've been walking all day. I don't want to get up either. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I kind of skimmed through the. Should I just start at the beginning? You're very quiet, but that's okay. Sorry, I'm gonna just skim through pages for the next half an hour, so. Alright. This chapter's called, this story, it's called The Thing. Ted Martin and Sam Miller were good friends. They spent a lot of time together. On this particular night, they were sitting on a fence near the post office talking about one thing and another. There was a field of turnips across the road. Suddenly, they saw something crawl out of the field and stand up. It looked like a man, but in the dark it was hard to tell for sure. Then it was gone. But soon it appeared again. It walked halfway across the road, then it turned around and went back into the field. And then it came out a third time and started toward them. By now, Ted and Sam were scared, and they started running. When they finally stopped, they decided they were being foolish. They weren't sure what had scared them. Sorry, I just burped a little bit, and that's really gross. I don't mean to do that among strangers, but anyway, back to the story. Sorry about that. I'm so sorry. So they decided to go back and get a better look. Pretty soon they saw it, for it was coming to meet them. It was wearing black pants, a white shirt, and black suspenders. Sam said, "I'm gonna try to touch it. Then we'll know if it's real." He walked up to it and peered into its face. It had bright, penetrating eyes sunk deep in its head. It looked like a skeleton. Ted took one look and screamed. And again he and Sam ran, but this time the skeleton followed them. They got to Ted's house. They stood in the doorway and watched it. It stayed out in the road for a while. Then it disappeared. A year later, Ted got sick and died. Toward the end, Sam sat up with them every night. The night Ted died, Sam said he looked just like the skeleton. I inhaled a lot of smoke. That's a pretty scary story. I heard something move over there, and now I'm... There is definitely something over there. There is totally a deer. Well, that's, that totally didn't freak me out at all. Sorry, I don't mean to... Again, you just got here. Please have a seat. You're already sitting. Sorry. I'm just... The next story is called Cold as Clay. A farmer had a daughter for whom he cared more than anything on earth. She fell in love with a farmhand named Jim, but the farmer did not think Jim was good enough for his daughter. To keep them apart, he sent her to live with her uncle on the other side of the country. Sorry, you just got here. I think I might have gotten possessed by a demon there. It does not say cunty in there. It says county. So let me restart that sentence. To keep them apart. All right, this deer is getting closer. I'm not even kidding. That's so fucking creepy. Oh, it's like 15 feet away from me. All right, it's walking away, but it's totally lit up by this light that just happened to be here. All right, that's a new one. To keep them apart, he sent her to live with her uncle on the other side of the county. Okay. County. Soon after she left, Jim got sick, and he wasted away and died. Everyone said he died of a broken heart. The farmer felt so guilty about Jim's death, he could not tell his daughter what had happened. She continued to think about Jim and the life they might have had together. I turned the page and there's a really scary drawing on the next page, and that, I don't know if you guys can see, but that's a very scary drawing. If I was when I was probably like what age is kindergarten? 5, 6 or something? 5 years old, I would have shit my fucking pants if I saw that. Alright, back to the story. There's a lot of smoke. One night, many weeks later, there was a knock on her uncle's door. When the girl opened the door, Jim was standing there. "Your father asked me to get you," he said. I came on his best horse. That's what it says. Come on. Seriously, you're laughing? Come on. It's a children's book, dude. Come on. The deer is okay. The deer is moved away. God, that was frightening. Is there anything wrong? She asked. I don't know, he said. She packed a few things and they left. She rode behind him, clinging to his waist. Soon he complained of a headache. It aches on his forehead. Why, you are as cold as clay, she said. I hope you are not ill. And she wrapped her handkerchief around his neck. They traveled so swiftly that in a few hours they reached the farm. The girl quickly dismounted and knocked on the door. Her father was startled to see her. Oh my god, lost my train of my place. What? Her father was startled to see her. You called for me? She asked. No, I didn't, he said. She turned to Jim, but he was gone, and so was the horse. They went to the stable to look for them. The horse was there. It was covered with sweat and trembling with fear, but there was no sign of Jim. Terrified, her father told her the truth about Jim's death. Then quickly he went to see Jim's parents. They decided to open his grave. The corpse was in its coffin, but around its head, they found the girl's handkerchief. Handkerchief! Man. I actually I remember that story from when I was a wee lad. I feel like in my kindergarten we went to the library at our school, and they would read a book every time we went, or like a chapter from the book probably, because 5-year-olds. So that's what, like 3 sentences. I feel like I remember reading that in elementary school and getting freaked out. Let's do a deer check. Hello? Are you deer? I think no, I don't think it might be. I don't know. They usually sleep in this area, and I'm totally blasting it with lights real late at night. So our next story is called The White Wolf. The timber wolves around French Creek had gotten out of hand. There were so many wolves, the farmers could not stop them from killing their cattle and sheep. So the state put a bounty on them. It would pay a hunter $10 for every wolf pelt he turned in. A butcher in town named Bill Williams, not Bill Williams, thought that was pretty good money. He stopped working as a butcher and started killing wolves. He was good at it. Every year, he killed over 500 of them. That came to more than $5,000. $5,000 in Mr. Williams' day was probably a lot more than $5,000 as it is today. I don't know how much that would be. That's probably like $5,030, adjusted for inflation. After 4 or 5 years, Bill had killed so many wolves, there were hardly any left in that area. So he retired, and he vowed never to harm another wolf because wolves had made him rich. I guess that's a little late for that, Then one day, a farmer reported that a white wolf had killed 2 of his sheep. He had shot at it and hit it, but the bullets didn't have any effect. Soon that wolf was seen all over the countryside, killing and running. but nobody could stop it. One night, it came into Bill's yard and killed his pet cow. Bill forgot about his decision never to harm another wolf. He went into town the next morning and bought a young lamb for bait. He took it out into the hills and tied it to a tree. That is so sad. That is genuinely fucking sad. Then he backed off about 50 yards and sat down under another tree. With his gun in his lap, he waited. When Bill didn't come back, his friends started looking for him. Finally, they found the lamb. It was still tied to a tree. It was hungry, but it was alive. Thank God. It's a huge relief. Then they found Bill. He was still sitting against the other tree, but he was dead. His throat had been torn open. But there was no sign of a struggle. His gun hadn't been fired, and there were no tracks in the soil around him. As for the white wolf, it was never seen again. A lot of smoke. The smoke's going in this direction now, so that's kind of nice. Might have to add some more wood on the bar. Oh, that's... Oh... Whoa, that's spooky. That actually kind of startled me when I turned the page. Not expecting a full fucking page like, hey! Our next story is called The Haunted House. One time, it's a bit vague, one time, real casual way to start that story. This is one time a preacher went to see if he could put a haunt to rest at a house in the settlement. There's a lot of syllables or consonants there. I don't know how grammar works, actually. The house had been haunted for about 10 years. Several people had tried to stay there all night, but they always would get scared out. Oh my God. But they always would get scared out by the haunt. So this preacher took his Bible and went to the house. Went on in, built himself a good fire, and lit a lamp. Sat there, reading the Bible. Then just before midnight, he heard something start up in the cellar. Walking back and forth. Back and forth. Then it sounded like somebody was trying to scream and got choked off. Then there was a lot of thrashing around and struggling. And finally, everything got quiet. The old preacher took up his Bible again, but before he could start reading, he heard footsteps coming up the cellar stairs. He sat watching the door to the cellar, and the footsteps kept coming closer and closer. He saw the doorknob turn, and when the door began to open, he jumped up and hollered, "What do you want?" The door shut back easy-like, and there wasn't a sound. The preacher was trembling a little, but he finally opened the Bible and read a while. Then he got up and laid the book on the chair, and went to mending the fire. Then the haunt started walking again, and step, 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 up the cellar stairs. The old preacher sat watching the door, saw the doorknob turn, and the door open. It looked like a young woman. He backed up and said, "Who are you? What do you want?" Well, that's scary. Again, that'll send some chills right up your spine there. I don't even like looking at it. I'm going to fold the page. That's spooky. The haunt sort of swayed, like she didn't know what to do. Then she just faded out. The old preacher waited, and when he didn't hear any more noises, he went over and shut the door. He was sweating and trembling all over, but he was a brave man, and he thought he'd be able to see it through. So he turned his chair to where he could watch, and he sat down and waited. It wasn't long before he heard the haunt start up again, slowly. Step, 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 closer and closer. Step, step, and it was right at the door. The preacher stood up and held his Bible out before him. Then the knob slowly turned, and the door opened wide. This time, the preacher is a new character. The preacher spoke quiet-like. He said, "In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, who are you, and what do you want?" The haunt came right across the room, straight to him, and took hold of his coat. It was a young woman, about 20 years old. Oh. Her hair was torn and tangled. Okay. And the flesh was dropping off her face so he could see the bones and part of her teeth. Alright, now, I want to retract everything, the prior facial movements I made. She had no eyeballs, but there was a sort of blue light way back in her eye sockets, and she had no nose to her face. Then she started talking. It sounded like her voice was coming and going with the wind blowing it. She told how her lover had killed her for money and buried her in the cellar. She said if the preacher would dig up her bones and bury her properly, she could rest. Then she told him to take the end joint of the little finger from her left hand and to lay it in the collection plate at the next church meeting, and he'd find out who had murdered her. And she said, "If you come back here once more after that, you'll hear my voice at midnight, and I'll tell you where my money is hid, and you can give it to the church." A log just rolled out of... 1 second. That was spooky. The fire's hot. Where was I? I'm getting all spooked over here. Get this mic a little closer. That just happened to be here too. It's really convenient, actually. I don't know if it's recording or not, but it's pretty nice that it happened to be here. The haunt sobbed like she was tired. She sunk down toward the floor and was gone. The preacher found her bones and buried them in the graveyard. The next Sunday, the preacher put the finger bone in the collection plate, and when a certain man happened to touch it, it stuck to his hand. The man jumped up and rubbed and scraped and tore at the bone, trying to get it off. Then he went to screaming, like he was going crazy. Well, he confessed to the murder, and they took him on to jail. After the man was hung, I'll bet, the preacher went back to that house one midnight, and the haunt's voice told him to dig under the hearth rock. What is a hearth rock? It's my favorite genre of rock and roll music. He did, and he found a big sack of money. And where that haunt had held onto his coat, the print of those bony fingers was burned right into the cloth. It never did come out. I didn't really can't really shut up a paperback like that, so. Let's getting a little spooky out here, actually. I still don't know where that deer went. But it's around here somewhere. There's usually more. They travel. They tend to travel in herds, so. I don't know. It's kind of scary. Do you want me to put more wood in the fire? Are you cold or? You don't have to. No, just wondering. Just wondering. You know. I mean, I got this cape on. It's kind of like a robe thing. So I noticed you're actually not wearing any clothes. So, you know, if you're cold, just let me know and I'll put some more wood on the fire. Put another shrimp on the Barbie. Okay. Next story. The guests. A young man and his wife were on a trip to visit his mother. Usually they arrived in time for supper, but they had gotten a late start, and now it was getting dark. I hate that. Ugh, it's so creepy. Like there's something creepy about like when you're driving down a road at night, like a highway road in the middle of nowhere. It is just completely dark. It's so spooky. I was trying I'll imagine driving by like I would imagine what I would do if I saw someone like just standing on the side of the road, you know, watching me drive by or something. Like, whoa, that's so creepy. That's so creepy. I'm creeping myself out. I'm not even in a car right now. So they decided. Okay, it was getting dark. So they. Oh, God, there's a lot of smoke. So they decided to look for a place to stay overnight. and go on in the morning. Just off the road, they saw a small house in the woods. Maybe they rent rooms, the wife said, so they stopped to ask. An elderly man and woman came to the door. They didn't rent rooms, they said, but they would be glad to have them stay overnight as their guests. Oh, well, that's wonderful. That's really nice, actually. They had plenty of room, and they would enjoy the company. The old woman made coffee and brought out some cake, and the four of them talked for a while. Oh, that's nice. Finally, a nice story. It's good to... Then the young couple were taken to their room. They again explained that they wanted to pay for this, but the old man said he would not accept any money. The young couple got up early the next morning before their hosts had awakened. On a table near the front door, they left an envelope with some money in it for the room. Then they went on to the next town. They stopped in a restaurant and had breakfast. When they told the owner where they had stayed, he was shocked. "That can't be," he said. "That house burned to the ground, and the man and the woman who lived there died in the fire." The young couple could not believe it. So they went back to the house. Only now, there was no house. All they found was a burned-out shell. They stood staring at the ruins, trying to understand what had happened. Then the woman screamed. In the rubble was a badly burned table, like the one they had seen by the front door. On the table was the envelope they had left that morning. Oh, that's freaky. Thought I heard some more rustling over there. Are there any deer? Show yourself, please. You legally have to reveal yourself if you're a deer. This is private property. So hearing all sorts of things. All right, that's another horrifying illustration. Probably for sure scarring millions of young readers across the globe. Okay, then that's a car. That's a car somewhere. Okay, are these like short stories, or they're kind of? There's a lot of stories in here that are more like real short, like a paragraph or something. I want to get the meaty ones. There's definitely something fucking moving over there. I can't tell. That's legitimately freaking me out. Let's try. Probably should have read the book before I read it here. That way I'd know what's going on. Oh shit. There might be some police going to arrest these deer, because I'll mess around, you know. Oh, there's a little mouse. I just saw a mouse. There's a little mouse running across the... Oh my god. Don't you guys wish you could see all this cool stuff that I'm seeing? You just get to see me. It's a shame you can't turn your head here at the fireplace, but... okay, what is... This one... Oops. This one is called The White Satin Evening Gown. A young man invited a young woman to a formal dance. She was very poor, and she could not afford to buy the evening gown she needed for such an occasion. Maybe you can rent a dress, her mom said. So she went to a pawn shop not far from where she lived. There she found a white satin evening gown in her size. She looked lovely in it, and she was able to rent it for very little. When she arrived at the dance with her friend, she was so attractive, everyone wanted to meet her. She danced again and again, and was having a wonderful time. But then she began to feel dizzy and faint. She asked her friend to take her home. Oh, and then a bunch of smoke just... Oh my god. Fuck. Alright, where was I? When she got home, she lay down on her bed. The next morning, her mother found that her daughter had died. Holy fuck. Damn, that's intense. The doctor did not understand what had caused her death, so he had the coroner perform an autopsy. The coroner found that she had been poisoned by embalming fluid. It had stopped her blood from flowing. There were traces of the fluid on her dress. He decided it had entered her skin when she perspired while she was dancing. The pawnbroker said he bought the dress from an undertaker's helper. It had been used in a funeral for another young woman, and the helper had stolen it just before she was buried. I wonder if that could actually happen in real life. I mean, probably not, but can you absorb embalming fluid through your nose? Alright, I need to add more. I gotta add some more wood to the fire, if you know what I'm saying. 1 second. Please enjoy the ambiance. Hold on. Readjust my my robe. Oh yeah. Maximum comfiness. Where was? Oh, the smoke's going up again. Where was I? 1 second. Here we go. Let me uncrack my back. Getting so tense reading these spooky stories. It's so spooky. Get this conveniently placed microphone. Let's get that oriented here. And do a deer check. Still no deer. So I think we're good. This next story is called High Beams. The girl the girl driving the old blue sedan was a senior at the high school. That sentence started like as if it was like mid-sentence, and that really fucked me up. And also the smoke is completely fucking me up. I'm all the way over here. Okay. Driving the old blue sedan was a senior at the high school. She lived on a farm. God damn it. She lived on a farm about 8 miles away and used the car to drive back and forth. She had driven into town that night to see a basketball game. Now she was on her way home. As she pulled away from the school, she noticed a red pickup truck follow her out of the parking lot. A few minutes later, the truck was still behind her. I guess we're going in the same direction, she thought. She began to watch the truck in her mirror. When she changed her speed, the driver of the truck changed his speed. When she passed a car, so did he. Then he turned on his high beams, flooding her car with light. He left them on for almost a minute. He probably wants to pass me, she thought, but she was becoming uneasy. Usually, she drove home over a back road. Not too many people went that way. But when she turned onto that road, so did the truck. This is a fucking nightmare. I've got to get away from him, she thought, and she began to drive faster. Then he turned his high beams on again. After a minute, he turned them off. Their car began to fill with smoke. Oh my god, I need a sip of refreshing water here. Oh yeah. Try not to get my lungs dehydrated by smoke. Oh, that is just coating my entire. Okay, I'm gonna hold it. You guys can't see my face, but this is the only way I can read. Usually, okay. She began to drive. I've got to. Where am I? She began to drive faster. Then he turned his high beams on again. After a minute, he turned them off. Then he turned them on. Then he turned them on again and off again. She drove even faster, but the truck driver stayed right behind her. Then he turned his high beams on again. Once more, her car was ablaze with light. What is he doing? She wondered. What does he want? Then he turned them off again. But a minute later, he had them on again, and he left them on. At last, she pulled into her driveway, and the truck pulled in right behind her. At that point, I'm gonna keep reading. She jumped from the car and ran to the house. "Call the police!" she screamed at her father. Out in the driveway, she could see the driver of the truck. He had a gun in his hand. When the police arrived, they started to arrest him. But he pointed to the girl's car. This legitimately just gave me chills. "You don't want me," he said. "You want him." crouched behind the driver's seat, there was a man with a knife. As the driver of the truck explained it, the man slipped into the girl's car just before she left the school. He saw it happen, but there was no way he could stop it. He thought about getting the police, but he was afraid to leave her. So he followed her car. Each time the man in the back seat reached up to overpower her, the driver of the truck turned on his high beams. Then the man dropped down, afraid that someone might see him. Well, now I've got a new fear to add to the list. I got a lot of fears. But this is a new one. I honestly, I do check the back of back of my car. When I get, especially at night, I'll do a little like, oh, no one being a creeper in the back of my car there. Okay, we're good to go. If I do see one, I'll just like get out of here. Creeper, go on, come on. Open the car, just hold it open for them. They're like, oh, okay, you got me. I'll see you next week. Like, go on. Actually, I've got one story about probably the most terrified I've been walking to my car, and then the situation quickly reversed. But so I was walking. It was back when I was in college, and there was a parking structure, big old parking structure, and I would park usually at the top. That's where the open spots were. And this is a night class, so I'm getting out when it's all dark, probably around like 9 p.m. at night. And I'm walking up the stairs, and I walk out onto the parking lot area. I notice a huge group of guys standing in the middle of the parking lot, not moving. They're all like almost like arm to arm, facing one direction. I couldn't tell if they were facing me or the other way. I think the other way, but just standing there, not moving. And like there were probably a few dozen of them, and I couldn't. It was like the only way I could. They were blocking the only path to my car. My car was parked probably a couple spaces from where they were. So I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm gonna get mugged. There are like no lights around here. There's security is like non-existent. There's no cameras or anything, or there probably was, but yeah, what are they gonna do? And I keep walk a little closer, just doing the like, I'm just gonna check my phone and maybe I'll look like I'm totally not worth it, which doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna be pulling out this expensive electronic device, like, oh, cool, we're gonna beat you up and then take your phone. But I walk a little closer, and they start to move, start to kind of reassemble themselves into a kind of a large. There's more space in between them, and they kind of get into place, and they all turn towards a certain car. They're turning away from me now, and then I hear. I look. There's an SUV with the hatch open, and there's one guy sitting there with some kind of box or something, and he moves around a little bit and starts playing music from speakers, and then everyone starts to dance in unison. And at that point, I realized that they were like a dance team practicing on the top of the parking structure where there's a lot of empty space. There's no one around at that time of night except for me, and I was like, okay, oh thank God. All right, then at that second, or at that moment, I realized like, okay, I'm totally fine. But And then they were spaced out just far enough where I couldn't. I had to walk through them to get to my car, so I totally had to like. Oh, sorry, excuse me, sorry. As they're like, getting warmed up, starting to dance, and got to my car, and there was a creeper in there, and he stabbed me. So a little misdirection there, from on his part. Maybe they were all in on it, but who knows? All right, next story. The babysitter. It was 9 o'clock in the evening. Everybody was sitting on the couch in front of the TV. That there were Richard, Brian, Jenny, and Doreen, the babysitter. The telephone rang. Telephone ringing. What? Maybe it's your mother, said Doreen. She picked up the phone. Before she could say a word, a man laughed hysterically and hung up. It's pretty funny if you think about it. Like, maybe it's your mother. Oh, that's a good one. Who was it? Asked Richard. Some nut, said lost my train of thought. Doreen. What I miss? At 9:30, the telephone rang again. Doreen answered it. It was the man who had called before. I'll be there soon, he said, and he laughed and hung up. Who was it? The children asked. Some crazy person, she said. About 10 o'clock, the telephone rang again. Jenny got to it first. Hello? She said. It was the same man. 1 more hour, he said, and he laughed and hung up. He said, 1 more hour. What did he mean? Asked Jenny. Don't worry, said Doreen. It's somebody fooling around. I'm scared, said Jenny. About 10:30, the telephone rang once more. When Doreen picked it up, the man said, Pretty soon now. And he laughed. Why are you doing this? Doreen screamed, and he hung up. Was it that guy again? Asked Brian. Yes. I'm going to call the operator and complain. The operator told her to call back if it happened again, and she would try to trace the call. At 11 o'clock, okay, here we go. At 11 o'clock, the telephone rang again. Doreen answered it. Very soon now, the man said, and he laughed and hung up. Doreen called the operator. Almost at once, she called back. That person is calling from a telephone upstairs, she said. You'd better leave. I'll get the police. Just then, a door upstairs opened. A man they had never seen before started down the stairs and toward them. As they ran from the house, he was smiling in a very strange way. A few minutes later, the police found him there and arrested him. It's kind of I was expecting a bit more on that one, but alright, this is a chapter called, chapter has the same title as the first chapter, but the stories in the first chapter are meant to scare you. The ones in this chapter are meant to make you laugh. Oh, well, I like laughing, so let's go ahead and laugh a bit. The Viper. A widow lived alone on the top floor of an apartment house. One morning, her telephone rang. "Hello," she said. "This is the Viper," a man said. "I'm coming up." Somebody's fooling around, she thought, and hung up. A half hour later, the telephone rang again. It was the same man. "It's the Viper," he said. "I'll be up soon." She did not know what to think, but she was getting frightened. Once more the telephone rang. Again, it was the Viper. "I'm coming up now," he said. She quickly called the police. They said they would be right over. When the doorbell rang, she sighed with relief. "Oh, they're here," she thought. But when she opened the door, there stood a little old man with a bucket and a cloth. "I am the Viper," he said. "I wish to wash and wipe the windows." There any deer? I don't think there's any more deer. The attic. A man named Rupert lived with his dog in a house deep in the woods. Rupert was a hunter and a trapper. The dog was a big German shepherd named Sam. Rupert had raised Sam from a pup. Almost every morning Rupert went hunting, and Sam stayed behind and guarded the house. One morning, as Rupert was checking his traps, he got the feeling that something was wrong at home. He hurried back as fast as he could, but when he got there, he found that Sam was missing. He searched the house and the woods nearby, but Sam was nowhere to be seen. He called and he called, but the dog did not answer. For days, Rupert looked for Sam, but he could find no trace of him. Finally, he gave up and went back to his work. But one morning, he heard something moving in the attic. He picked up his gun. Then he thought, I'd better be quiet about this. I don't know why he's an old man, but... So he took off his boots, and in his bare feet, he began to climb the attic stairs. And then he started coughing on smoke. He slowly took one step, then another, until at least he reached the last step. Until at last he reached the attic door. He stood outside listening, but he didn't hear a thing. Then he opened the door and... Ah! Oh, in parentheses here it says, at this point, I stopped reading the story, as if I just finished. Then usually somebody will ask, why did Rupert scream? So can you guys ask why did Rupert scream? Question mark. I'll just wait a minute. I can't really. It's a lot of smoke obscuring my view here, so I can barely hear you. Why did Oh, you're asking a question? Well, why did Rupert scream? Well, you'd scream too if you stepped on a nail in your bare feet. Oh, he never found his dog. That's funny. Um, I want more of the scary stories, to be honest. Did I read them all, or I read some of the short ones in the beginning, the real short ones. Let's see. Try to say the exact. All right. The story is called "The Big Toe." A boy was digging at the edge of the garden when he saw a big toe. He tried to pick it up, but it was stuck to something. So he gave it a good hard jerk. No jokes, please. No jokes. I see you. I could see you right there. You're. Listen, it's an old book, all right. It's like the other story, where Jim came on his fastest horse or something. Like, okay, that's a little funny, but this is not funny, right? He tried to pick it up, but it was stuck to something. I read that, and it came off in his hand. Then he heard something groan and scamper away. A boy took the toe into the kitchen and showed it to his mother. I don't like this story. I read it before. I don't like it. It looks nice and plump, she said. I'll put it in the soup, and we'll have it for supper. That night, his father carved the toe into 3 pieces. And they each had a piece. Then they did the dishes, and when it got dark, they went to bed. The boy fell asleep almost at once, but in the middle of the night, a sound awakened him. It was something out in the street. It was a voice, and it was calling to him. Where is my toe? When the boy heard that, he got very scared. He thought, it doesn't know where I am. It never will find me. Then he heard the voice once more. Only now it was closer. Where is my toe? It groaned. The boy pulled the blankets over his head and closed his eyes. I'll go to sleep, he thought. When I wake up, it'll be gone. But soon he heard the back door open, and again he heard the voice. There's a lot of fog coming in. There's a lot. It happens this time of night. Usually there's, and again, but soon he heard the back door open, and again he heard the voice. Where is my toe? It groaned. They heard footsteps move through the kitchen into the dining room, into the living room, into the front hall. Then slowly they climbed the stairs. Closer and closer they came. Soon they were in the upstairs hall. Now they were outside his door. Where is my toe? The voice groaned. His door opened. Shaking with fear, He listened as the footsteps slowly moved through the dark toward his bed. Then they stopped. Where is my toe? The voice groaned. You've got it! It says to, at this point, pause, then jump at the person next to you and shout, "You've got it." So. Oh, it's also a little epilogue here. The big toe also has another ending. When the boy hears the voice calling for its toe, he finds a strange-looking creature up inside the chimney. The boy is so frightened he can't move. He just stands there and stares at it. Finally, he asks, "What you got such big eyes for?" And the creature answers, "To look you through and through." "What you got such big claws for?" "To scratch up your grave." "What you got such a big mouth for?" "To swallow you whole." "What you got such sharp teeth for?" "To chop your bones." As you give the last line, pounce on one of your friends. I don't have any friends here, so. But I mean, you're my friend. You just, we're the only two people at this campsite, so. I mean, I guess that qualifies as like a friend, like a campfire friend, like. Okay. It's just a joke. I don't mean. I'll just read the next story here. This next story is called "The Walk." My uncle was walking down a lonely dirt road one day. He came upon a man who also was walking down that road. The man looked at my uncle, and my uncle looked at that man. The man was scared of my uncle, and my uncle was scared of that man. But they kept on walking, and it began to get dark. The man looked at my uncle, and my uncle looked at that man. The man was very scared of my uncle, and my uncle was very scared of that man. But they kept on walking, and they came to a big woods. It was getting darker, and the man looked at my uncle, and my uncle looked at that man. The man was really scared of my uncle, and my uncle was really scared of that man. But they kept on walking, and deep down into the woods they went. It was getting darker, and the man looked at my uncle, and my uncle looked at that man. The man was terrible scared of my uncle, and my uncle was terrible scared of Boo! It says scream, but it's pretty late around these parts, and I don't want to wake up the deer over there. Oh, the deer. I wouldn't dare to wake up the deer. This fire is very nice. It's almost out though, so I might be having to. I just heard a rustle somewhere. A rustling. I don't know. I've been seeing a few mice popping up, walking around. Well, let's hope they are mice and not Not a moose? What do you come for? Is the next story. There was an old woman who lived all by herself, and she was very lonely. Sitting in the kitchen one night, she said, "Oh, I wish I had some company." No sooner had she spoken than down the chimney tumbled 2 feet, from which the flesh had rotted. The old woman's eyes bulged with terror. Then 2 legs dropped to the hearth and attached themselves to the feet. Then a body tumbled down, then 2 arms, and a man's head. As the old woman watched, the parts came together into a great, gangling man. He danced around and around the room. Faster and faster he went. Then he stopped and looked into her eyes. "What do you come for?" she asked in a small voice that shivered and shook. "What do I come for?" he said. "I come for you." No jokes, please. Please don't make any jokes about that. Come on. Oh, as you shout the last words, stomp your feet and jump at someone nearby. You. Alright. I think that sells in there. Okay. Next story is called Me Tai Doti Walker. I don't know. There was a haunted house where every night a bloody head fell down the chimney. I hate when that happens, you know? I mean, it's so cliche, honestly. These ghosts are doing the old bloody head down the chimney trick again, you know? Seen it. At least that's what people said. So nobody would stay there overnight. Then a rich man offered $200 to whoever would do it. That's like, it's not nothing, but $200, really? I don't think that you qualify as a rich man if you like, hey, I'm prepared to reward you with $200. Because I'm a very rich man. If you can stay in that haunted house, it's like, well, you're rich, so you have more than that. But I digress. I'm sorry. I'll keep reading. I can tell on the look in your face. I'll just get back to the reading here. To whoever would do it, and this boy said he would try if he could have his dog with him. So it was all settled. The very next night, the boy went to the house with his dog. To make it more cheerful, he started a fire in the fireplace. Well, that's very cheerful, actually. Then he sat in front of the fire and waited, and his dog waited with him. For a while, nothing happened. But a little after midnight, he heard someone singing softly. Sally sells she sells on this. He heard someone singing softly and sadly off in the woods. The singing sounded something like this. Me Tai Doti Walker. Sorry, I don't know. I don't recognize that song. It's just someone singing, the boy told himself, but he was frightened. Then his dog answered the song, softly and sadly, and saying, "Rentry, crunchy, holy moly, dingo dingo." The boy could not believe his ears. His dog had never uttered a word before. Dogs don't usually speak English, at least. Then a few minutes later, he heard the singing again. Now it was closer and louder, but the words were the same. Me tie do tea walker. This time the boy tried to stop his dog from answering. He was afraid that whoever was singing would hear it and come after them. But this dog paid no attention, and again it sang. Linchy, kinchy, holy moly, dingo, dingo. A half hour later, the boy heard the singing again. Now it was in the backyard, and the song was the same. Me tie do tea walker. Again, the boy tried to keep his dog quiet, but the dog sang out louder than ever. Linchy, kinchy, holy moly, dingo, dingo. Soon the boy heard the singing again. Now it was coming down the chimney. Me tie do tea walker. The dog sang right back. Linchy, kinchy, holy moly, dingo, dingo. Suddenly, a bloody head fell out of the chimney. It missed the fire and landed right next to the dog. The dog took one look. It's not funny. This is serious. The dog took one look and fell over, dead from fright. The head turned and stared at the boy. Slowly, it opened its mouth and It says, turn to one of your friends and scream. So, I didn't mean to startle you. Sorry. Well, there's a lot more in this book, but maybe I'll have to save it for another time. Because honestly, there's a few stories in here that really spooked me. They're pretty scary. Well, I've got a lot of walking in a forest to do. This is great. This was awesome. Honestly, I don't really have a plan when I walk out in the forest. I just kind of keep walking in a direction. It gets really cold at night. So when I find fires like this, like I gotta stop, or I might actually die. I might actually, yeah. So this was great, but I gotta keep walking in the forest. It's my duty. So I'll leave this here for the next person to stumble upon this campfire. I wonder who lit it. Has it always been lit? Am I lit? I don't know. But I think we're all lit. I'll see you next time.